So the English Bulldog breed is pretty much selected away from any heavy colored, although they still get them. The heavy colored dogs and the black dogs, they highball was what was, you know, selected for.
Okay.
So in the beginning, Johnson and Scott started registering the breed. The breed had been in the United States for years, but it wasn't bred the way modern breeds are. There wasn't paperwork, there wasn't lineage on every dog. There could have been, but it was just like Bob and John's family bred them for a while, and it was they're hunting dogs and farm dogs and working dogs, and people that use working dogs. We're not like exclusive kennels from noble origin. They use what worked, and
Right.
so if the dog down the street was 3/4 bulldog or half bulldog, and he was half, a quarter Chihuahua, and he could do the job, he got bred, he got used.
Right.
And if he produced dogs that were good, those dogs got used. If he produced garbage, they did get used. And that's
Mm.
how all breeds of dogs started. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so the
Since I've been doing this, well, I'm always catching the similarities in all dogs. All these stories
yeah,
are very
I,
similar.
I don't know. Like I told you before, I don't know Connie Corso history, but I can guarantee you it's probably
Yeah.
similar. Same with
Oh,
Preston
oh,
Air.
it is. Yeah.
Same with Borbal. Same with every breed of dog.
The
It's just
presser.
that
Yeah.
dogs that we're used to, like boxers and Dobermans
Mm,
and German Shepherds, they morphed many years earlier, and
mm-hmm.
we just don't know about it. But the whole idea where these people are like, my dog's pure. I have the paperwork, 10, 15, 20 generations, or I've got a title, I've got a show title, I've got uh, health test, and my dog's pure. That goes, that's part of the problem with the breed of purebred dogs having all these problems, is because they're bred on the paperwork or the idea, and the idea is faulty because any working type dog for thousands of years, the first and really first and almost only criteria was for purity was work.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's the sideline. The black American Bulldogs, there's like three different kind of paths of where they came. Alan Scott is probably the oldest one. Um, he didn't select for it, so he bred that blackjack dog. And the only dog I can find, well, there's a couple dogs that came down from him, granddaughters. One of them, Alan Scott used, called Sophie, who was white dog, and I'm not sure what color her little color was. And then there was a sister to her called Pistol, that
Mm-hmm.
was almost solid red, colored kind of like a boxer. But there were other dogs and other routes where they came through, but it wasn't a bit, it wasn't really a common thing. Uh, besides that, the oldest, there was a guy in Pennsylvania called James Ellerby. I spoke to him a couple times, and I even spoke to Johnson about it because turns out Johnson was the guy that got his black dogs registered, and they weren't like part of any 7/8 rule or anything like that. He's just like, oh, you found a black dog, okay, register his dog as an American Bulldog. But James Ellerby is real interesting character. He passed away. He grew up in North Carolina, I believe he told me, and when he was a little kid, and he said these bulldogs, these big white bulldogs, some of them had ears cut, some of them had their tails cut. The guy with the general store in his town sold them, and so he always wanted one. He was always like me. He was like a crazy for dogs. And the guy that lived across the street, he told me he had a turkey ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he'd tell me the guy's name was Brock, and he had a big white bulldog called Brock. And he said when he was a little kid, he didn't know any better, but he grabbed Brock and brought him to his house and, petted him. And he was being friendly. And his dad came on and said, no, you got to take that dog back. That's Mr. Brock's dog. And so anyway, his father died when he was like, I think 8 or 9. So his mom and the family had to move back to where his mom was from, which was Pennsylvania. And so he grew up in the city in Pennsylvania, but he always was crazy about bulldogs, and he used to send money back, he said, and to the family and try to get dogs, but nobody ever found any or did anything. And then he discovered Dave Levitt when Dave Levitt just started his project for the Old English Bulldog. And he owned some of those dogs. Like Dave Levitt had placed dogs with him. And then they had a falling out over some female that died, something about when she was giving birth. And it was a bull mastiff English bulldog pit bull cross that he started with.